The DFS OGs back in the house talking everything week 4 in the DFS world. I am Beer, as always, joined by my boys, Notorious and Head Chopper. Noto, I got to start with you. We talk about each and every week our DFS OGs contests over on FanDuel. Well, our boy checked in with a top 4 score this week. Noto, a hell of a team there on FanDuel. Almost took it down. Sounds like a good week 3 for you. How we doing, my man?
Yeah, doing good. Week 3, fantastic. I didn't think the listeners were going to believe me because the season was such a bad start. But yeah, fourth in the OG contest. Pretty good lineup on DraftKings as well. The bets were positive, and then I galaxy brained Ezekiel Elliott captain team on Monday Night Showdown. So yeah, things are good over here. I'll give it all back in week 4, I'm sure.
Love to hear it. Couple of them weeks a season, and it sets you up. You know, that's all you really need. You're not going to win every single week. It's not the way it's going to go. So glad to hear that. Chop, let's get over to you. Was the week 3 as good as Noto's here?
No, it doesn't sound like it was as good as Noto's, but it was fine. It was, it was acceptable. I was watching Any Given Sunday last night, was on TV, and I just stopped. And I remember that Pacino line where he goes like, the difference between winning and losing is an inch or something like that. We fight for those inches. Like the difference between winning big and just breaking even like that was literally like an inch for me on a stretch near the goal line that didn't get called the touchdown, and they didn't challenge it. Gruden didn't challenge it, but that's neither here nor there. But yeah, it's like an inch, man, can swing it. Massive swing, so it happens. But breaking even on a week like that is fine, considering what the first couple of weeks were like. And so I feel like we're starting to hit our groove now.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I was this close at that Monday night game, Derek Carr to Edwards for a touchdown. I had it set up in Showdown. That would have catapulted me near the top. And like you said, an inch, they call it back, no touchdown. And you can ask Detroit Lions fans about an inch. 66-yarder that hits the damn front of the bar and goes in. I still don't know how that kick went in, but you're absolutely right. But we are finding our groove. If you want to join us in this contest, it's not too late. FanDuel.com/OG, single entry each and every week, $7 buy-in. So price point for everybody. We have a link right there to the leaderboard at that page as well. And only your top 10 scores will count. So whether you've sucked through 3 weeks, whether you've only played once, whether you've played none of the above, now it's not too late to jump in. Again, put 10 of your top scores together. The winner at the end of this thing. So not only are you going to get prizes every week, it's just like any other tournament on FanDuel, still going to pay out for that week's tournament. You're also going to get prizes at the end of this thing. The first place prize is going to take home $5,000. So only 500 spots available in this thing. Make sure you guys go and reserve. There's a button right on the bottom. Makes it easy. No one's expecting you to build a lineup on Wednesday. Go and reserve a spot. Get in there and compete against us. And we'll highlight we highlighted Notorious's 4th place finish. We'll take a look later on in the show and see who really did well in that tournament and finished inside the top 3. And we're going to start to dig into the leaderboard as well. Hopefully we knock DV730 down that board a little bit. So we'll take a look at that as well. But want to say thank you to the folks over at FanDuel, not only for sponsoring the show, but for setting up this tournament. It should be a lot of fun as we close in towards the end of the year. And I don't want to get to that too fast. We're already in week 4, guys. Seems like we wait for it to come and then it flies by. So anything else here? Any things that we didn't hit on? Any housekeeping we need to hit on? Are we ready to dive into the games?
NFL Top Shot.
Oh
yes!
Oh, please,
yeah.
no! No, I can't go through this again.
So if you haven't, sign up for the waiting list. If you get in the beta in that thing, it'll be nice.
So Noto's all in. I'm pretty much all in. Chop, does that mean all out for you, or you just don't want to go through the pain that Top Shot caused you?
I mean, it was a torturous end of the summer there. So I don't know, man. I don't know if I can do it again, but. Like Notorious said, if you get in early enough, I guess you're all right. But if you don't, it's a lot of pain coming your way.
Pain. Was that Rocky 3 with Mr. T? Pain.
Yeah, something like that.
Yep. So, that was great news. So, it was only a matter of time. They've been kind of teasing the NFL for a while. And you just think of some of the moments that could be moments. You know, the no-look Patrick Mahomes passes, the Odell Beckham one-handed catch. I mean, the list is endless. So super excited about that as the NFT world continues to explode. But we don't have time for that. I'm glad we brought it to the attention, Derek. Have everyone go check it out. But we got to dive into the games here. Once we start getting into bye weeks, we can spend a lot more time on stuff like that. But right now, we have to get to it. Week 4 is upon us. We'll update our betting records here as we go along. We want to jump in. First game for us, we have Detroit and Chicago. Chicago -3 here at home. Pretty low total here, Chop, just 42. So we'll start with you. Detroit, valiant effort. You know, almost won that game. Probably should have won that game. If you look at some of the plays that happened before that field goal, delay a game potentially. So Detroit pesky, hanging in some of these games. Chicago, big disappointment. I know a lot of people were excited to play Justin Fields last week, and that did not end well. Talk about a third and wrong there with Justin Fields. So as of now, no starting quarterback has been named here. Chop, let's go to you. What stands out here? Low total game, 2 divisional opponents. Is this one we cross off our list, or are you finding some gems out of this one?
I think you can find some players here. You know, I did not like Justin Fields last week, and I got suckered in because all I heard all week was the rushing floor. Okay, bud, I probably should have just avoided. But if he does start, maybe that drives people away. That's such a bad game. So then I would be in on Fields because I actually do like him this week if he were to get the green light. So I think he's in play. And on the other side, Detroit, I think every week we can pick one of these running backs and play them, Swift or Jamal Williams. These guys are getting like receiver type targets in the run. That's what Jared Goff is doing. He's just checking down. So either one of those guys is in play. Pretty much done on the Detroit wide receivers for now. And it's got to be a perfect matchup, but those guys just aren't particularly good with Goff at quarterback. So check down City to Hawkinson, check down City to Swift and Williams, and that's it for that. Yeah, but I think you can extract something from this game.
Yeah, I'm with you on Fields. I think no one's going to want to play him after that performance. And you look at the matchups at Cleveland, it is a tough first start. Now you get Detroit at home. So if he is the starter, I'm not going to tell you about his rushing floor, Chop, because I heard the same. I was able to shed that off and not go there last week. But I do like him if he plays. I really like going back to TJ Hawkinson here, Derek. We saw him 20 targets over the first 2 games. Kind of shut out last week, but I think it was a part of Baltimore's game plan was to take him away. Chicago, second most fantasy points allowed to tight ends last season. And I like David Montgomery here. I think if Matt Nagy's smart, you got to minimize whoever the quarterback is, make things easy. Let's get back to getting this guy the football. No real threats behind him. So Montgomery, Hawkinson, Field, some of the plays I like here, Derek. What do you got here? Lions and Bears.
Yeah, echo pretty much everything you guys have said. If Fields draws the start, I think it's a great spot for him. I know they're saying, it's Dalton's job and everything, but if he plays well here, Fields gets the start, plays well, they start winning games. I think it's his job to lose. So you mentioned the great matchup. It's at home. Doesn't have to face that Cleveland pass defense and the pass rush. So, yeah, I like Fields quite a bit. Don't have to pair him up, which is kind of nice. He's a rushing quarterback, but don't mind looking to Allen Robinson. Probably won't go to the backfield. I definitely get what you're saying about Montgomery, but running back's pretty deep position, so I'm not forcing him in there. And then, yeah, like Chop mentioned, Goff's just killing the upside of all these receivers. I'm okay taking a shot on Swift. And then Hawkinson, good bounce back spot for sure. I do think the Ravens kind of sold out to stop him. We even saw his backup get more production than him. So I like Hawkinson. And then for the bet, give me the Bears at home. I think they roll in this one.
I agree. I'm going Chicago -3 in this one. Seems like it should be a little bit higher, so it causes you a little bit of pause here. But I think defensively they're the much better team. Both these offenses kind of leave a lot to be desired. So I think if it comes down to it, Chicago can make the stops they need to, and they're at home. May have some weather in this game as well. So something to keep an eye on. So 2 for 2 for the Bears here, Chop. Are we adding to the parlay card early, or are you going off the board here?
Yeah, well, it would probably behoove me to go against you guys because I'm playing catch up now. But it's a long season, so I don't want to go too out of whack because we do have a lot of time this year. But so I'm gonna agree with you. There's no way I can take Detroit here, so I'm gonna go Chicago also.
All right, first stop on the parlay card, Chicago -3, and we'll update that as we go along. If you're out in the chat, let us know. We want to talk to you. You got questions? You got some spread bets you like, totals you like? Please feel free to put it down there. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you take a second, click that thumbs up button and the subscribe button as well. And we appreciate you guys joining us every Wednesday afternoon here on the DFS OGs podcast. All right, let's get to our next game, guys. Cleveland and Minnesota. This one is kind of, the line's kind of moved a little bit. Cleveland now up to -2 in this one on the road, 51.5. So big total game here. We've seen Minnesota pretty much involved in shootouts each and every week. Last week, handled Seattle at home. We saw that shootout in Arizona. Cleveland, on the other hand, kind of winning ugly, as we thought. They want to run the ball and play defense here. So, Derek, what gives here? Cleveland's going to want to slow this game down, run the ball. Minnesota, we'll see if Dalvin Cook is back, but Alexander Mattison looked pretty damn good in that role. We know Jefferson, Thielen, a lot of fantasy-friendly names here. I'll break this one down. Who's really standing out in this matchup?
Yeah, Minnesota's always fun because they have such a concentrated offense. Whoever's going to start a running back is going to get 80% of the snaps, going to get most of the work. If it's Dalvin, I'll definitely play some of him. If it's Madison, even better because he's $2,700 cheaper. So, yeah, I'll have interest in the starter. I know it's not the best matchup, but I think this offense is going to have plenty of success at home. Receivers, give me Justin Jefferson. Finally had the big game last week. I know, Osborne was kind of the popular value play, but I think Jefferson's the alpha in this offense. Thielen's still going to get his looks in the red zone. Conklin's kind of coming on a little bit as well, but yeah, Jefferson's just too cheap. I think he should be, mid-8 at least on FanDuel. The other side, man, we just haven't seen much upside from this passing offense. I know Baker's been missing some of his guys, but maybe if they fall behind early, this is finally the spot for him to get going. I do like Odell Beckham a little bit, 9 targets and a rushing attempt in his first week back. 6,600 is a really good price there. And just can't trust these running backs right now. I mean, Chubb's going to have his big rushing games, but 3 targets in 3 games. It's just really hard to waste one of your running back spots on him. I know he's going to have a couple of those games where I regret it, but I just can't do it here. So give me a little bit of Odell, and then most of my interest is on Minnesota side. And I'll wait to see what you guys do. I don't know what I'm doing for my pick yet.
I'm putting my pick in first here. I'm going Minnesota again. I liked them last week at home against Seattle. I'm kind of riding the same theory here. I think they're underrated out there in the betting market. So I know the action is swinging towards Cleveland here. It's still tough to go on the road and win. So I will take the 2 points. I don't hate the money line either. Now for 51.5 here, Chop, there's not a ton of plays I like. I'm pretty much hands off on the Cleveland side of things. Derek mentioned the split with the running backs. You never know who it's going to be. If Chubb doesn't find the end zone, generally doesn't make value. Hunt is going to have those big games. Yes, Odell was good, but I could see some Patrick Peterson in this matchup, and they spread the ball around so damn much in that offense. So I'm out on Cleveland, even with a big team total here. Minnesota, I agree. Justin Jefferson to play. And if Madison's in there again, I don't know that he's priced high enough. I don't love him against Cleveland. So pretty much Jefferson for me here, Chop. Rolling with the Vikings. What do you got here in this matchup?
I am with the not liking the Cleveland side. I'm with you guys. I don't think I could touch a receiver if it's not a healthy Jarvis Landry in this offense. So I don't have to mess around with that. I do like Nick Chubb's touchdown upside on FanDuel most weeks, but yeah, like Derek said, most weeks he actually doesn't get there. So there's nothing I'm jumping out to play that. And then on the Minnesota side, it's better, but I don't think it's great this week. I like the receivers. I like Jefferson and Thielen every week. One of them should do well. And I did read a crazy good stat about Kirk Cousins the other day about his splits since Justin Jefferson became the starter in his lineup. They're pretty absurdly good. So he's in play. He doesn't get enough credit for what he does, but in general, I kind of like the Cleveland defense here too. So, and this game being at Minnesota, I think all things considered, I think I'm leaning towards the under here.
All right, under 51.5. That was kind of my secondary play. I like Minnesota, but I agree on the under as well. So don't even hate a little 2-team parlay there. I think this one could be more of an ugly game. Both teams can run the ball, so that can slow the game down if they can play it their way. Derek, you backed out enough. You tried to abstain. Now we need a pick for you. You saw R2. What do you got here?
All right, I'm going to go against the grain a little bit. I'm going to take the over and hope that Minnesota gets out to a lead. I think Cleveland will finally be forced to air it out a little bit. I think Minnesota is going to score regardless. So give me the over, and then hopefully one of us can hit one of those.
There we go. I mean, if we all miss and it's just Cleveland -2, what are we doing here? So chat's starting to get active. Our boy Don Yeezy with us pretty much every week. So we got to give him a shout out. And then Sam in the chat talking about Justin Jefferson calling for 12 targets, 88 yards. Let's hope he gets more than 88 yards on 12 targets. I agree. Jefferson in a great spot here this weekend. Next game, we have Washington traveling to Atlanta. Washington -1.5 here on the road. This is another one. It's really swung. This one started out Atlanta -1 and has swung all the way to the Washington side. Coming off of that beatdown out in Buffalo, Atlanta goes on the road and wins in New York, taking on the Giants. So, Derek, let's stay with you here. Washington, we know it's the same cast of characters. I think McLaurin in a great spot here. Heineke always seems like a great value play because he's going to put up numbers. And I think this could be a great Antonio Gibson side. The Atlanta side is what worries me here. Davis, CPAT splitting. Ridley has not been what he's been advertised. And, of course, everybody's darling, Kyle Pitts, been a disappointment here as well. So I like the Washington side here. I'm going to lock in my bet. I think Washington wins this game, so I'll take them -1.5. Derek, your floor here. What do you got?
Yeah, I like this game from a DFS perspective. Heineke's played pretty well. He scored 23 and 24 fantasy points in his 2 starts. He showed some rushing upside. Obviously, a good matchup indoors against Atlanta. He's got a pretty obvious pairing candidate in Terry McLaurin. We could see Curtis Samuel back, but if not, I'll have some interest in Logan Thomas as well. And then if they're able to build a lead, I think Antonio Gibson has at least a path for 20 touches. So I think it's a lot of interesting plays on Washington. I'm definitely going to have more exposure to them than the field. And you can bring it back with Ridley. You can bring it back with Pitts. I think I'm still out on Mike Davis. The projections just love him every week. He pops up in the optimals, but he just hasn't done much. I know he hasn't scored yet, but I just haven't seen a ton of upside from him. Even in full PPR sites, it's just kind of underwhelming so far. So give me some Ridley. He's got 29 targets already, leads the team in air yards. He's going to capitalize on those sooner rather than later. And give me a bunch of Washington. And, yeah, I'll take Washington with the points as well.
Chop, did we ever think we'd see the day where Tyler Heineke was $700 more expensive than Matt Ryan? And not to say that it's unjustified, but that's what we have here on FanDuel. These two teams have been horrific against quarterbacks. So the main question here, we know the Washington side. Is this a spot Atlanta gets it going? Because the Washington defense, maybe it's not what it was cracked up to be open up the year. Maybe it is. We don't know. But are you feeling a bounce back here from Atlanta, or is it just another stay away week for them?
Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question. I didn't expect them to go into New York and win last week, so credit to them. I think, like Derek said, Calvin Ridley is going to be in play because he's at home and he does have a fine quarterback. He's an okay quarterback to try to get him the ball, and so I'm all right with Calvin Ridley. Man, Kyle Pitts keeps disappointing week after week. It's rookie tight end thing, There's a lot of voices out there that led us to believe the guy was going to be playing practically like a wide receiver, and it's the rookie tight end thing doesn't matter with him. Yeah, maybe it does. I don't know. Maybe he'll get it going, but right now he's not. So Calvin Ridley's the guy. Mike Davis, big old bust right now. I was all over Mike Davis preseason, but I really underestimated how bad this offensive line is. So, yeah, I'm with Derek there. Calvin Ridley on the other side, Washington, whatever. Yeah, play them all. They're fine. I'm not going to try to pick. I'll give Tyler Heineke some credit. That guy can move, man. He's fast. He's deceptively fast. Now, I'm probably still a Ryan Fitzpatrick guy when he gets back healthy, but Heineke's shown me a lot. So credit to him. And I'm with you, Washington. If we did 5-star locks on this play, that would be my 5-star lock, Washington. I just can't see him losing another game. Not to such an inferior team right here.
Yeah, I agree. And you've seen it in the line. To see a line swing from one team to the other, you don't see that every day. So really like Antonio Gibson in the spot and love Washington. Noto, did you make a bet here on this game?
Yeah, Washington 3 for 3.
All right, so we'll add them to Chicago. 2-teamer brewing here in the OG's parlay card. So Chicago and Washington on the board. All right, next game. This one could be ugly, Chop. Houston traveling to Buffalo. Houston, we know the struggles with this team. Buffalo really got it going last week. Josh Allen, massive game. We saw Emmanuel Sanders, couple touchdowns. What we've yet to see, Chop, Stephon Diggs really get it going here. So it's easy to dismiss Houston. Okay, Brandon Cooks is your run back there. If you have anything else to add there, is this the week Diggs gets it going against this Houston defense?
This is the Stephon Diggs get right game right here. It's just, and they're going to blow them out, and it's not going to be competitive. But I think the way they get there to the blowout in the first place is to get Diggs right. Like, he's their number one. They got to make him happy. So I got a feeling he's going to be the guy this week. And like you said, the only thing on Houston is maybe running it back with Cooks. He keeps getting there in garbage time and stuff, so he's okay. But I want some Diggs this week and some Josh Allen. I think they're going to run it up early and then put it on cruise control. So give me Buffalo minus some points.
All right, I like the over here. I personally think Buffalo could put 47 on the board on their own. So, Houston's shown enough that they're going to score some points. I know it's a very low team total here, but even at 15, they give us a couple touchdowns. I think that number's a little bit too low. So I'll go over the 47. Noto, the same question. Stephon Diggs, are you trusting him? Do you want to go to that well here? I think a lot of people are going to start backing off, but it's only a matter of time before this guy has a big game.
Yeah, only a matter of time. We said that about Josh Allen last week. We saw what he was able to do, and I think this is the get-right spot for Diggs. The problem is they're going to be up 3 touchdowns by halftime, so I think he's going to have 80 in a touchdown at the half, and then, like Chop said, they'll probably put on cruise control a little bit. Still think he'll have a good game. He is my favorite play from the Buffalo side of things. And Brandon Cooks, he's on pace for 180 targets and 2,000 receiving yards.
Not bad.
I'll take the under on both of those for season-long prop bets. But, yeah, I mean, this guy, garbage time production counts the same as games that are close. So if you need to bring it back, I guess you could look at Cooks. But agree with Chop. I think the Bills roll. Give me them with the points.
All right, Buffalo minus 16.5 for both you guys, and I'm on over 47. Next game, Indianapolis and Miami. Kind of an ugly game here. Miami 1.5-point home favorites, Derek. Low total, 42.5. And you got to give Jacoby Brissett credit. I watched a good portion of that game, and it was a crazy game. The Raiders seem to try to want to always give these games away and end up pulling it out, but Miami puts up a fight, ends up coming up a little bit short. The Colts, kind of do what we thought they would do last week. Tennessee pretty much handled them easily. Now you have potentially no Quentin Nelson on that line. Wentz, we'll see if he can get any healthier here. Jonathan Taylor been a disappointment. So, Derek, I'm putting my bet in first. Fantasy-wise, I honestly don't see anything in this game that I like. I don't see a single thing. I like Miami here, minus the points at home, and pretty much crossing this out from a DFS perspective. What do you got?
Yeah, I think I got to agree with you there. It's pretty ugly. I was dead wrong about the Colts. They look terrible this year. I thought they were going to be, pretty good in that division. I guess they're still not out of it yet. But Pittman, I mean, he's been good so far, but 2 really good corners for Miami. So fade there, and just too many names, trying to catch the ball. Maybe look at Myles Gaskin. He did have 19 opportunities in week 3. You can run the ball on Indy. So maybe look at him, but give me the under in this game. And one other note, did you guys watch the end of the Dolphins game last week?
I absolutely did.
So did John Gruden, does he not realize that overtime ends after the first possession? He ran out the clock. There was 2 minutes left, and he ran out the clock before he kicked the field goal. He even called timeout with like 1 second. I didn't get it at all.
And this is a guy making $100 million. I don't know. I don't think he understands. He's old school, man. He plays that the first score wins. That's it. He don't know the new rules. So puzzling there. Chop, you got anything on Gruden? The rest of this game, kind of a mess. Had some comments in the chat. Josh Duck brings up a good point. Kobe Brissett revenge game here. So we love narratives here on the OGs. So Josh, thanks for bringing that up. And then Alvin Dimery wanted to know about Carson Wentz. I'm out on this whole game, Chop. So maybe you're more optimistic here. Derek, you took the under here, correct?
I took the under, yeah.
Okay, so I'm on Miami. He's on the under, Chop. What do we got here? Anything in DFS from this game?
Yeah, the one thing from DFS, Jalen Waddle, is I think he's going to rack up a lot of targets this week. Short yardage, I don't think he's going to if he gets in the end zone, he'll explode for you. But I think he's going to rack up a lot of targets there on DraftKings, a lot of short receptions. So I'm on Jalen Waddle, but other than that, yeah, it's been it's tough to call in this game because these are both teams that had a lot of expectations coming into the year. Now somebody's going to drop another game, and so as much as I want to take Miami at home, I don't want to go against Indianapolis because they will get the ship righted at some point. I think they'll be a lot better. Just don't know if this is the week. This is a tough one to call right here. So DFS, not too great outside of Waddle for my bet. I'm going to take give me the Colts.
He wants to abstain from this one.
Give me the Colts. Yeah, this is an abstaining game right here. I can see the under hidden, but I'm going to take the Colts as on the road here. I think that they're got a little bit more talent here, and I think it shows through in this game. Just the Brissett thing at quarterback, I just can't get over. It's just not a good offense with Brissett there, so I'm going to take the Colts.
So a couple quick notes. I'm trying to like Jonathan Taylor here, and it's just he's going to get it going eventually. But then you ask, is he though? No Nelson, Hines kind of eating into some of that work. So I don't know that this is the spot, but I definitely want to be out ahead of that. We saw last season and the same thing play out. We're writing off Jonathan Taylor, and boom, he put some big games together. And I love the Waddle call, especially Chop if Will Fuller is out, who missed practice as of today. So if he's out, that's even more targets. We saw a ton of targets. I think he had 15 targets last week, and only turned that into about 60 yards. But you're right, Waddle's going to see the ball a ton. Gesicki also saw 12 targets from Brissett in that game. So I think there's some fringe level plays here. I don't hate the Waddle call. So points or money line, Don Yeezy's asking Chop. I don't know if he's talking. I'm guessing he's talking this last game. You're taking the +1.5 here with Indy, right?
I'm taking the +1.5. I don't really, at that point, I don't really think it matters if you take points or money line at 1.5. So do what you want to do.
Yep, you won't get much on the money line there. You might as well take the 1.5 there. So next game, a little bit more exciting here. Pretty high total. Kansas City and Philadelphia. Kansas City -7 here on the road. 54.5 on the total, Chop. Kansas City is struggling. No, I mean, whoever thought you'd be 1-2, potentially could be 0-3 if Cleveland gets it done. So they're kind of on the ropes here, which is a bit surprising. Is this a get-right spot for this offense? We saw Philadelphia really disappoint in that game against Dallas. I thought they'd play a lot better. The one shining star, though, was, again, Jalen Hurts, who, even in a bad game, you're watching this guy. It's ugly. At the end of the day, the fantasy numbers continue to be there. I absolutely love Jalen Hurts this week in the spot. Probably my favorite quarterback on the week against this Kansas City defense that has not slowed any quarterbacks down. They've had a murderer's row, especially the last couple of weeks, Lamar Jackson, Justin Herbert, but they're hemorrhaging fantasy points to the quarterback position. So Jalen Hurts really stands out as a play for me here, Chop. As far as the betting market, I'm not sure. I'm going to go under on this game. I think it could be ugly here, but what do you got here, Chiefs and Eagles?
Yeah, Hurts is week in and week out. He's going to be a solid DFS guy. Tough to figure out who to pair him with because kind of spreads it out, and like every week is somebody has a couple of those guys you expect to do well have poor games, and Jalen Reagor just not very impressive, and they don't want to get the ball to Dallas Goddard enough, man. They're sitting out there targeting Zach Ertz. Come on, man. Goddard's your guy, man. But they don't give him enough opportunity. And then we just saw in this past game, I know it'll change week by week, but my gosh, like their running backs got, 2 carries in that whole game, I think they said. Some crazy NFL low for the modern day NFL or something. Like I can't trust any of it. So Jalen Hurts on one side. On the other side, Kansas City, play whoever you want on Kansas City. They're going to score some points here. I can't narrow it down for you. There's a lot of great weapons there. My gut tells me it's a big Tyreek Hill game, and he's going to get loose. So I guess Tyreek would be the guy, but all the Kansas City guys are fine, and for that reason, I'm on Kansas City here.
All right, Josh Duck agrees in the chat. He's calling for a big Tyreek bounce-back game, so he's with you, Chop. I tend to agree. This guy's too good to hold him down. These teams can try to bracket him all you want. Does Philadelphia have the personnel to make that happen, Derek? I'm not so sure. So the Sanders thing was interesting. Didn't get a whole lot of work here. We should also talk about our old friend Josh Gordon back in the mix here. I don't know that you're going to see him this week, but signs with the Chiefs here. So any thoughts on that as well, Derek? So a lot here to unpack. What do you got here, Chiefs and Eagles?
Yeah, Gordon, that's an interesting one. We'll see how many weeks he can last. But Chiefs, like Chop mentioned, you can play them all. I like Tyreek as well. Does feel like he's going to have a big game soon. But Kelsey, obviously, with how weak tight ends are, I'll have some exposure there. And then CEH, man, I played him last week. He lost that early fumble. I was getting real nervous that he was going to get benched, but they went right back to him, ended up with 100 yards, got a touchdown. And we saw what Dallas was able to do to this Eagles run defense last week. So I think he's interesting. He's still pretty cheap across the industry. And then agree with you guys. Jalen Hurts in an awesome spot. KC, I know it's early in the season, but they're dead last in DVOA against the run. They're dead last in DVOA against the pass. And they're probably going to be playing from behind. So Hurts a ton of upside here. You don't have to pair him up. They're just, Goddard, it's hard to trust him with Hurts still playing there. So I'll take a little bit of Devontae Smith, but I'll most likely just be playing Hurts, by himself.
That's where I'm at. Playing him naked. The Chiefs have allowed the most rushing yards to quarterbacks this season. Now, again, that's part of who they've played in Lamar Jackson and Justin Herbert, who's mobile, but that definitely stands out. So really like Jalen Hurts here this week at a nice price point. Let's go to our next game. Tennessee and the Jets. Tennessee minus 7.5. 44.5 on the total. And Tennessee finally looked much better. Win at Seattle, win at home against the Colts. Maybe they start get it rolling here, Derek. The Jets, on the other hand, it's just been a nightmare. Shutout once again out in Denver. So they've had some tough matchups, though. Carolina, Denver. I'm a little bit more optimistic here than I was with say, Houston or even that Miami game. I think Corey Davis is in play here, not just because of the narrative against his former team. Tennessee, not good against wide receivers here. He's got to be the focal point here. Other side, injuries are going to determine this. A.J. Brown banged up. Now Julio on the list. This Westbrook / something dude is popping in some models. So Derrick Henry always in play here. Derek, I'll turn this one over to you here. I'm going to take the Jets with the points at home here. I don't know why. Probably a crazy pick here, but I think they can do a little bit of damage in this game. I don't know if they win. I think they can keep it competitive, though. Agree? Disagree? What else you got here? Titans and Jets.
Yeah, it's gross, but I'm also taking the Jets at home with the points.
Boy.
I mean, I think I don't know. I think the Wilson's going to have his best game yet. It's not saying much, but at home, very beatable defense. We know Tennessee's secondary is really bad. I like the Corey Davis call. Elijah Moore's banged up. Jameson Crowder's yet to suit up. The running game hasn't really been able to do much. So I think it is a good spot for Wilson and Davis. I probably won't play any Wilson, but I think he's okay here. And Tennessee, A.J. Brown probably not going to play. Julio Jones is banged up. I didn't know how to say that Westbrook guy's name, so I'm just going to call him NWH. I think that's an easy way to refer to him. He is popping in all the models, so if those guys end up being out, I think he's interesting. But this feels like just a huge Derrick Henry game. They could give him – he's had like 35 touches and 41 and 31 touches the last two games. I could see him getting a ton of work here, especially if those guys are out. I don't mind Henry and then bringing it back with some Corey Davis.
Chop, help us out here. You got to know this dude's name. You're our college football guy. Tell me something about this hyphenated Westbrook character.
Akina?
There. Okay. Is that okay. It, or you just kind of pulled that out?
Pretty sure
of
that's it. I'm
okay.
pretty sure.
All right.
Pretty sure that's it. I think he was just Nick Westbrook at Indiana. I'm not sure. Somehow he added something on to the end of his name there, but I'm pretty sure it's Akina. But I don't know, man. This is a tough one. First of all, the Jets. Yikes. What do you do with the Jets? The only guy I think week in and week out you can really look at is Corey Davis and hope you get some garbage time because everything else about the team is pretty bad. Like the numbers say Braxton Berrios, and I'm not going that route, so I'll pass on that. So Corey Davis is the only one. On the other side, Tennessee, scaring me with the injuries at wide receiver. This thing is built on that big three-headed monster, and if one or even two of them are out, then I think you're in a little bit of trouble here if you're Tennessee. So for those reasons, I think I'm on the under here. I think I'm going to go ahead and go with the under here.
All right, we had a question in the chat. Our boy Josh Duck, can we play Derrick Henry at this price on FanDuel? So they are favorites. The Jets not great against the run. Nobody really brought him up as a play, Chop. 10-2 on Derrick Henry. So yes, no, where do you come out on that one?
It's a big number, but he's Derrick Henry. And, I think if you're in cash games, you're not going to play that price tag for just about anybody, even if it's the best of the best. I mean, prime Christian McCaffrey, you probably got to think about that kind of a price tag. So probably not in cash games, but in GPPs, absolutely, because you just don't know. We saw it against Seattle. Guy could put up the slate breaker of a game any week.
Jets have allowed the fourth most FanDuel points to running back so far this season. 4 rushing touchdowns already, Derek. So same question to you. Can we play Derrick Henry? It's a little easy. FanDuel's, I mean, a guy could be 12K. We can find a way to work him in sometimes. So a 10-2 is a big price, but we know there'll be value out there to make it happen. Is he somebody you're going out of your way to play a 10-2?
Maybe not out of my way, but yeah, he's getting a ton of workload right now. He's more involved in the passing game. He's already got over 100 yards receiving, which is something we didn't see, under Arthur Smith as their offensive coordinator. So now that he's gone, they're checking down a little bit more. So yeah, I like him. As Chop said, he's a slate breaker, and he's going to have those games every few weeks.
Yeah, I think he's always got to be a part of your player pool. He's one of those very hard to X out of your player pool week to week. So any guy with a ceiling like that, 3 touchdown upside, I'm definitely going to be playing him here against the Jets. All right, we already had a comment in the chat from Alvin. Chop, Dak is a lock here this week. So next game for us leads us right into Dallas and Carolina here. Pretty big total in this game, 50.5. 4.5 point favorites here for the Cowboys. Your Cowboys look good, Chop. Some of the numbers not great for Dak, and the receivers were a letdown, but Zeke gets there with 2 touchdowns. They end up winning the game. Carolina side, obviously the big story here, Christian McCaffrey, not going to be in this game. So on that side, Chop, what do we want to do? Is this more on the plate of DJ Moore? You see what I did there? Robbie Anderson, Terrace Marshall. Do we want to go to Chuba Hubbard here? A lot to unpack in this one, Chop. So I'm going to put my pick on the board first here, and I'll let you break it down. I'm going Carolina with the points here in this game. That defense has been impressive. The loss of McCaffrey certainly hurts, but we know this is a team that can plug running backs in and come close to that production. So I like Carolina to keep this one close, potentially win this game. You may not want to hear that as the Cowboys fan, but your thoughts here, Chop. How does this one play out?
Yeah, it's the Elliott game on Monday night was like, it was there, man. It was set up for you. All you had to do was look at his history against Philly. They can't stop Elliott. They never have. So it wasn't going to change on Monday. What Kellen Moore's done is be very good about game planning around the opponent's weaknesses or strengths and getting away from their strengths. So whatever he deems necessary here against Carolina is what's going to happen. My guess is we go back to the passing game here for a little bit of action. And so being at home, that puts Amari Cooper square in play every week he's at home, because those splits are pretty rowdy with Dak as his quarterback playing at home versus the road. So Amari's in play. I think all the passing options are in play there for Dallas. For Carolina, I think I'm anxious to see the ownership on Hubbard, because man, I have a big piece of me that says he's going to bust this weekend. People are going to think he's going to step up and be like Mike Davis was last year in place of McCaffrey. I can definitely see Hubbard busting big time here. So I'm anxious to see the ownership and see if it's worth fading him. And then the receivers are fine. DJ Moore is really talented, but I think this is a Robbie Anderson game. I've seen enough of Trayvon Diggs to know that the guy's actually talented in the secondary and can cover guys. And if they decide to stick him on DJ Moore, it could make life a little tough on him. It could be the Robbie Anderson game. So that's kind of where I'm at on the DFS. For the pick, I can't decide. I want Dallas. I want the over. I want Dallas. I want the over.
You think about it for a minute if you need.
Okay, come back to me. Come back to me after Derek does his thing.
No rush here. There's no rules here, so take your time. So, one note on that Dallas passing game, we saw J.C. Horn go down. That obviously a big blow to that secondary. Now they instantly go out and trade for C.J. Henderson. So, Derek, if you want to talk about that, your team trading away that number 1 pick for Dan Arnold, basically. So I think it is, it's interesting with this Dallas passing game for sure. I know Carolina's D has been good, but like you said, Chop, Murray at home has been money in the bank. So a lot to like out of this game. As far as Hubbard, I tend to agree with you, Chop. Dallas been pretty good against the run so far this season. Seventh fewest FanDuel points allowed to running backs. And Micah Parsons been impressive. Seems like that dude is all over the field. So I'm kind of hands off on Hubbard here as well. So, Derek, your turn. A lot to like, maybe not in this game. Should be a pretty interesting game nonetheless. What do you got?
Yeah, so I was doing my first look for this game, and I couldn't believe it. It's Carolina's number one in DVOA against the run, number one in DVOA against the pass, number one in adjusted sack rate, and number one in adjusted line yards. And then I saw their schedule. I mean, right. They played Jets, Saints, and Texans. So I've never seen anybody be ranked first in all those, but it does make some sense. I think Cowboys going to roll here. You can play all the guys. Like we mentioned, I still prefer CD over Amari, but both are fine. Zeke looks good. Tony Pollard looks better, but Zeke looks good. So you can play a little bit of him. And then, yeah, I mean, I wish we knew who Diggs was going to be on. I'd like to take the opposite of that guy, whether it's Moore or Anderson. And I was a little disappointed to find out it's Chuba Hubbard. I thought it was Chuba Hubbard. That would be a much better name. But, yeah, I kind of agree with you guys. A lot of people are going to play him. He did play 40 of the 51 running back snaps after C-Mac went down last week. We saw, Mike Davis just crushing this offense last year. So I'm okay with him. I'll have a little bit, but probably going to be underweight on the field.
Too many Chubbs is not a good thing, Derek. So we already got one. We don't need more Chubbs around. So a lot of Dallas support in the chat here. So Chop, what do we got here? I'm on Carolina. Derek, what was your pick there? So you had me thinking Chubbs.
Give me Dallas.
Dallas, okay. Chop, Dallas or the over? What do we got?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to take Dallas here. I think they score points. I think it's gonna be hard for Carolina to stop them, and I'm really worried about McCaffrey being out, being a big damper on this offense. So I'm gonna go Dallas.
All right, let's take a look at our betting contest as we rip through our bets. A reminder, we have a little bet amongst ourselves here. So looking into last week, Chop bringing up the rear with 5 victories last week. I had 7 on the board, and Noto takes down week 3 with 8 victories. So totals, we got Chop sitting at 14, Noto at 16. I'm still up at 21. So still anyone's ball game. Long way to go here. But we'll continue to update that as we go on. We'll get to our FanDuel scores here. Again, FanDuel.com/OG if you want to play in this tournament. So we'll take a look at some of the best performers here while we are here. And we brought up Noto, 4th place finish at 176 here. So let's take a look at Noto's lineup here real quick. Lamar Jackson. So he could have had a much bigger day, Noto. If Hollywood Brown catches some of these touchdowns, maybe you take this thing down. So Lamar Jackson, a great play there. Saquon was almost a free square on FanDuel. Love the James Robinson play. I thought he was too cheap, just 3% owned there, 22 points. Cooper Kupp just continues to get it done. We're going to talk about him here shortly. Metcalf finally has a big game, scores a touchdown. I know you're a big Jefferson guy, so some nice correlation there. Waller, kind of disappointed still. It didn't hurt your lineup too bad. Madison, another running back he had to play over on FanDuel, and Denver D was a no-brainer as well against the Jets. So 176, almost took it down. 3rd place, Jay Kalari here, just a little bit ahead of Noto. Charger stack, looks like what he went with, run it back with some Kelsey. Also had Barkley and Kamara. 2nd place, Mitt Salen, just a few decimal points ahead of you guys. Also had Lamar Jackson in that lineup. Some similar names here, Cooper Kupp. Mike Williams with another huge game, also had Jefferson. Madison also had Austin Eckler. Our winner of our week 3 DFS OGs contest, M. Buletto, 178.82. He had a Russell Wilson, DK Metcalf stack, ran it back with Madison and Jefferson. So a popular game last week. Also had some correlation with Mike Williams and Travis Kelce, Cooper Kupp in that lineup, Barkley and Madison. So a lot of plays you had to have on FanDuel. Also want to give a shout out to a good friend of mine, old Dags, 8th place finish for my buddy Steve. So congrats to him as well. But another great week of tournaments here. I still see DB 730 there, Chop. So what is he, top 10, 20, 30? Where's he at?
DB's in 27th place. Okay. just to go show you how those drops, the ad drops can be on the scores and how one good week can boost you up. Notorious jumped all the way to 24th this week, just based on that one really good finish. So it's never too late to jump in this thing and be eligible to hit for that. Like, you could miss the first 10 weeks here technically and still be eligible to hit that big prize at the end. So jump in there, guys.
Yep, jump in early. It's a great way to support us. If you enjoy the show, we told FanDuel, hey, we're going to fill this thing. So get over there, reserve your spot, FanDuel.com/OG. Like Chop said, even if you haven't played yet, you're just hearing it right now for the first time. It's not too late. There's 18 weeks in the season. Only 10 of those scores will count. So whether you didn't play, whether you had a bad week, does not matter. Get in, jump in, and play. And I got to get it going here. It's been a rough start here in this contest. So I'm not fretting. I'm going to drop some of these scores, and those big weeks are coming like Notorious had this week. I think it's only a matter of time. So anything else on the tournament, guys? Anything we didn't discuss?
I see Dean in top 100. Oh, we're in trouble now.
Oh boy. Yeah, we can't have that. All right.
Now we gotta get big. Now we gotta focus.
That's all I had to hear, Chop. That's like the light the fire under your ass. Here we go.
It's time to focus.
Yep. Now we got to start playing here. So we'll continue to update that as we get closer. Again, we'll look at some of the cumulative leaders as we get towards the stretch run, but we don't want to get there too fast. Let's enjoy the season. So back to the games here in week 4. Next game for us, we got the Giants traveling to New Orleans. 7.5-point home favorites. Low total here at 41.5. So Chop, we'll stay with you here. The Giants, a disappointing performance at home against Atlanta. I had high hopes on them, but I think we kind of talked about it. Felt like stepping in a bear trap, and that's exactly what happened. Saquon ends up getting there. Jones was okay. We see the injuries go down there with Shepard and Slayton, so I think that could open up some stuff for Galladay, potentially even Evan Ingram as a cheap tight end play. Other side, tough to really get real excited about this offense. I do really like Alvin Kamara in the spot. When they've won games, he's touched the ball 26 times per game. So love Kamara here at home. Giants, I think there's some decent run it back options. I'm going to go under on this total, though. Put in my bet here early. Chop, I'm turning it over to you here. Kind of an ugly game. What do we got here? Saints and Giants.
Yeah, it is ugly. Kamara on the one side looks good, and on the other side, I'm not really stoked about playing anybody against a pretty tough New Orleans defense here. So that's tough. I think if Daniel Jones, he couldn't get it done at home against Atlanta, that was rough, man. That was unexpected and rough. So it'd be tough for me to think he goes into New Orleans and gets it done fantasy-wise against what's been a really good defense. So I'm kind of out. And Jameis has been fine with his efficiency to a certain point now. He did make one play last week against New England I thought might get him benched, and it's something to look for moving forward. In fact, we did see a lot more Taysom Hill after that play where he was on the goal line, and he kind of just threw it up. They were inside the 10. He threw it up. Now, it was a touchdown, but it was a duck, and it should have been thrown away. And Peyton gave him the bad look after that play. And then later on in the game, we see a lot of Taysom Hill around the goal line. So I'm definitely out on Jameis as far as the DFS option this week. And they can't get the ball to the receivers anyway right now. So Kamara, and then on the other side, not much. And because of all this, I think I do like your under call, but such a low number. I think that the Giants, I think I'm going Giants with a little bounce back. That's a pretty big spread. I'm going to take the Giants here.
All right. So we're all over the board here, Derek. An under, a Giants play. I think the bottom line, there's not a ton to like in fantasy in this game. Do you agree, disagree, and your betting pick for this game?
Yeah, I was going back and forth between the Giants and the under. I do think it's going to be a low-scoring game. I think the Giants can keep it competitive. For my official pick, I will take the under. And agree with you guys. I mean, Kamara's in a really good spot. I think you can play him. Beer, I think you mentioned 26 touches in their wins. I like that quite a bit. Winston, 20, 22, and 21 pass attempts. This is not the Winston that we saw in Tampa. So I think you can safely fade this entire passing attack. And for the Giants, I mean, if Shepard and Slayton are out, do you guys have any interest in Galladay or Ingram?
Yeah, I like both of those guys. More as a correlation with Kamara, probably, just to have some plays on the other side. Ingram's always risky, but we know he has the upside. We don't see it very often. So probably Galladay for me, but I don't hate Ingram either. Chop, any interest in that side with these if these guys are out. Obviously, it helps the case then.
Yeah, if those guys are out, I might be able to include Galladay back in my player pool. I'm probably out on Ingram until he switches teams at some point in the future.
Woodsy Owl in the chat giving a local shout out here. So you gotta text me so I know they're hiding behind a moniker here. I got to know who you are. So appreciate you guys watching. The chat's been great today. So let's keep the talk going here, guys. Moving on to the afternoon games, we got Arizona and the Rams. Rams -4.5 coming off that huge win at home against Tom Brady. Offense continues to look electric, led by Matthew Stafford and of course Cooper Kupp leading pretty much the NFL in every receiving category there is. So price is finally ticking up to where it should be on him. Arizona goes to Jacksonville, kind of ugly, but they get it done. Put 30 points on the board here again. So Derek, we'll go to you on this one. This one should be fun. 55-point total here in division. Two offenses that are very good. My main questions here. What do we do at Robert Woods? Because it continues to be, he's got to get it done. Got to get it done. We have not seen it yet. It's been Cooper Kupp. Other side of the ball, Hopkins kind of let us down. Rondale Moore kind of let us down. Is that just going to be the case with these Cardinals receivers with four of them basically playing right now? So main questions, the receivers on both sides, and of course, break down the rest of the game here. Cardinals and Rams.
Yeah, I know we're dealing with the small sample, but this kind of reminds me of, the Panthers where DJ Moore's getting all the targets. We kind of just wait for Robbie Anderson to get it, and it just feels like it's not going to come. I mean, Cooper Kupp's getting all the targets, all the love. Clearly Stafford's favorite target, but now there's that massive difference in price. So I'll still go a little bit of Woods. I'll still play some Cooper Kupp. I love this passing offense. I mean, Sean McVay, man, he looks so happy to have Stafford under center. The happiest guy in the world. He's over there slapping everyone's butts after every play. So, yeah, this team's fun. I think they're going to win 15 or more games in the regular season. Even if Henderson's out again, I don't think I'll go to Sony Michel. I think you just load up on the passing offense. And, man, Deshaun Jackson still got some speed. I mean, he could have had 3 long touchdowns last week if Stafford, would have hit him in stride. So I like the passing attack there. And then kind of the same thing for Arizona. I think it's a good spot for Kyler to get it going on the ground. We know the Rams have really good pass rush, so I think he's going to be running all over the place. And we did see Jalen Ramsey go in the slot and cover Chris Godwin. So I'm kind of expecting him to be on DeAndre. Maybe that'll open some things up for the other 3 receivers there. And for my bet, give me the Rams to roll. I think this is a team that's just going to have a huge regular season.
All right, I'm going the other side of this. I'm going the Cardinals here, and one of the reasons why, I don't know if the everything they wanted to beat Tampa Bay so bad, it was a statement game. Sometimes you see a letdown after that. Now, is that the whole reason I like the Cardinals? No, but I think you could see the Rams a little bit flat here. I agree with you, Derek. I think they're maybe the best team in the NFC, and it was an impressive performance. But this Cardinals offense has looked electric, and I don't think that's going to change here. So. Chop, our boy Don Yeezy, all over this game in DFS in the chat. Hard to disagree with that one. So, any must plays here, any fades? How are you kind of handling this one? It should be the marquee game. How do you want to handle this in DFS?
DFS is tough because it's the Rams, and I think the Rams defense is one that typically I'm going to go in and mark people off the list that are playing the Rams because they're just really that good. So, with that being said, I think there is points scored on the Arizona side, and Kyler Murray can run the ball, so he's in play. And I think DeAndre does get a lot of Ramsey, and that's not good. So who else can we play? You want to say Rondale Moore, but the truth is Christian Kirk's been the guy who's outsnapped him and played a lot more in the slot, and I think that's a big factor this week. So maybe it's Christian Kirk instead of DeAndre, and maybe even instead of Rondale. But Rondale's so explosive, I still got to have him in my player pool. And on the flip side, the Rams, they're just a juggernaut on offense as long as these guys stay healthy. So Stafford's in play, Cooper Kupp's in play, and they'll eventually get Robert Woods going. But, I mean, there's just such a bond between Stafford and Kupp. It's going to be like that all year unless these guys get hurt. So I'm not saying he's going to break records. Eventually he'll slow down, but that connection is real. So I don't think it's going away anytime soon. For my bet, I'm on that train, man. The Rams are unstoppable as long as they're healthy. So I'm going to ride the Rams again.
All right. Is he on a similar pace as Brandon Cooks, Derek? Is the question. That guy's pace was otherworldly. So we'll have to see what Cup's pace looks like. But
What's more sustainable, Derek?
Yeah, I'll take Cup in this one.
yeah, I think I got to agree there. So, all right, we're coming up on an hour. We got 3 games to go, so we'll speed through the rest of this. Don't want to keep you guys too long. Seattle and San Francisco next up. Another big total. Niners -3 at home, 52 on the total. I'm going to lock in my pick here. I really like San Francisco in this spot. DFS wise, I think Brandon Ayuk is a fantastic buy low right now. Really starting to see him get acclimated back into this offense. Played well over 80% of the snaps in that game against Green Bay. Seattle has not shown the ability to stop receivers. We saw that last week with Jefferson. And whoever the hell the running back is, Derek, I want some exposure here as well. If Eli Mitchell is back in there, especially, Seattle been horrible against running backs. So mostly San Francisco for me. Can always run it back with a Metcalf, a Lockett. I'm out on Chris Carson here. So my quick take here, San Francisco, Ayuk, and the running back, run it back with Metcalf. Derek, let's go to you here. Niners, Seattle.
Yeah, I agree. I like Debo. I like Kittle. I think they're going to have a lot of success in this game. And I mean, Juszczyk, he was awesome last week. Why don't they just start him back there? But yeah, I mean, if Mitchell's back, it's just hard for me to trust anyone. I think a lot of people are going to get some touches there. And then I prefer Metcalf as well. But anytime I try to pick between those two, between him and Lockett, it seems like it's not worth my time trying to decipher which is better in which matchup. One of them's going to go off each week. You just got to have a little bit of exposure to both unless you have like supreme confidence in one of them. And then I'm going to be fading Carson, only 13 and 14 touches the last 2 weeks. Don't love the matchup. And is it a 3-point spread you got there?
I got 3. I took the lines from the FanDuel Sportsbook about 30 minutes before we went on. So
okay, yeah. So I think it's going to be decided by a field goal either way. So I might as well take Seattle +3.
All right, Chop. Why is it that Lockett and Metcalf both can't have a good game? Like it's like physically impossible. And the Seattle offense, we talked about, they're playing fast. They're not running a ton of plays either. So it's kind of a tough situation here. Very efficient with Russell Wilson, but it's not been as good as we thought. Not all roses and rainbows here for the Seahawks. So are you with us on the San Francisco side, or I guess Derek's on the Seattle side? Fantasy wise, what do you got here? 52-point total. A lot of ways you can go in this one.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of ways. Like you said, Seattle, I think they can move the ball through the air here. So I'm on, Wilson, Metcalf, or Lockett. You pick one, like you said. You don't want to play on both. And I think they get it done, and that's good. And then on the other side, San Francisco, I just play whoever. The running backs, we got to see how it shakes out. Because if Sermon's the only guy in the backfield again, I'll go back to Sermon. He was terrible Sunday night, and yet he fell into the end zone and still, was fine for the salary. It was a showdown slate, but a San Francisco running back can fall into the end zone twice in any week, no matter how bad he is. So if everybody else is out again, I'll go back to Sermon. If Mitchell is back, we'll have to adjust it there. But he's got 3 good targets to go to now. Debo, Ayuk, and Kittle all look like they're clicking now. So I think San Francisco puts up points. I think Seattle can get there, whether it's in garbage time or whether they're actually doing it in the first or second quarter. I think they can get there. So I like the over in this game.
All right, next game we got Pittsburgh and Green Bay. Green Bay 6.5-point favorites here, 45.5 on the total. And Green Bay, a hell of a win out in San Francisco. Rodgers does it again, get that late field goal. Pittsburgh has been a mess here, Chop. So I really like Green Bay here, but this again feels like one of those, why is it only 6.5? Pittsburgh has lost at home to Cincinnati, to Vegas. They may be without Deontay Johnson, potentially without Juju Smith-Schuster. Yes, Najee Harris has been good, 19 targets in that last game, but it feels like a game Green Bay should roll. I'm locking in the Packers, but the line makes you scratch your head a little bit, Chop. What do you got here?
Yeah, man. Watching those clips of Big Ben last week, that was sad.
Oh,
that
bad.
Was really sad, man. Because this team in general, I think this thing could be an AFC title contender with a really good quarterback, but they just don't have it. So much so that they might not even make the playoffs. So I don't know what to think about it. I don't know that I can trust any of their target. Like Najee Harris for me is not in play on FanDuel. I don't, the guy caught a record number of passes last week for a running back coming out of the backfield and was still a very just barely above average on FanDuel while he dominated on DraftKings because of that. So you play him on DraftKings, you don't play him on FanDuel. The other guys just aren't getting it with Big Ben back there. So I think I'm kind of going to have to take a wait and see on this offense until something shakes out. And then for Green Bay, I got to see what the injuries are like. But if TJ Watt's going to miss again and his defense is going to be that shorthanded again, then Green Bay is going to smack them around. So Aaron Rodgers at home is going to crush them. So it may be an Aaron Rodgers game, maybe an Aaron Jones game. Like that's the beauty of that offense. They can hit you from anywhere. So I got to take a wait and see approach on the injuries as far as DFS and see how that plays out. But 7 points, man, that's kind of a big number though. It's just I don't know what to think about that one. Let me say
we'll give you a minute. You need another.
Yeah, I'm gonna need some time on this one.
Need a timeout here. We'll give you a timeout.
Yeah. Let's see what Derek says. I need to hear Derek's opinion.
You gather your thoughts there for a minute. And one interesting note here, Derek, if Deontay and Juju miss, I think a lot of people are going to go to Claypool. We saw him get a ton of targets last week, but he may very well get the Jair treatment as well as the only real weapon in that offense. And do we trust Big Ben enough? So I agree with Chop. It's going to be Rodgers Adams stacks. Teams that don't have that, I'm probably going to have some Aaron Jones, especially if Watt is out, like Chop said. So all Green Bay here for me. What do you got in this one?
Yeah, pretty much agree. I don't play a ton of Aaron Rodgers. I usually just go with Aaron Jones or Devontae Adams. I mean, both of them, we know the offense is going through those two guys. So agree there. Obviously don't love the matchup against Pittsburgh, but they're at home. They're going to score points. And I like Chop's point about Najee and Deontay. Like you can't play them on FanDuel because most of their value is tied up in their receptions. And Dusty Ben, I mean, he's just not getting the ball in the end zone. So yeah, I like Najee on some other sites, just maybe not on FanDuel. I don't. If Deontay and Juju are out, maybe look at Claypool. But good point by YouTube here. Could get the Jair treatment. So maybe some Fryer move.
Yeah, I don't hate that either. So. All right, need some betting picks.
I am going to go under because I don't think Pittsburgh can put up the 19.25 that we're seeing here. Give me the under.
Chop, you ready?
It would be a much easier pick if I knew the injuries to Pittsburgh, who was going to be back this week, but I don't. So I'm assuming those guys are going to be out. And if I think TJ is going to be out and all the other guys are going to be highly questionable, I'm going to take Green Bay.
All right, last game we got Baltimore traveling to Denver. Baltimore coming off that historic win, 66-yard field goal by Justin Tucker to win that game in Detroit. Denver continues to roll, but kind of like you brought up with Carolina's defense, Derek, Denver has played some cupcakes so far. The Jets, the Jaguars, and the Giants now get a pretty big test here with Lamar Jackson and company coming to town. So again, I'll lead off here. I'm going to go Baltimore in this game. I just, as good as Denver's defense has been, they have not been tested here. I think Baltimore got a wake-up call in Detroit. Hey, we need to pull our head out of our arse and get it going here. And I think you see them do that in a tough game, no doubt. Tough spot in Denver, but I like the Ravens here in this one. So, Derek, we'll go to you. Finish this thing up. Ravens and Broncos. What do you got?
Yeah, Denver's a tough place to play for sure. And this line does feel a little too low, feels a little fishy. Feels like Baltimore should be favorites in this one. But I'll be the fish. I'll take Baltimore as well. DFS-wise, not a lot to like. I mean, Cortland Sutton's at least a little bit interesting. Baltimore's lost a couple pieces in their secondary. Noah Fant, always in play as well. And then Lamar is going to have that rushing upside. So you can play those three, but I'm just not looking to get a ton of exposure to a game with one of the lower totals on the board.
Yeah, I'm pretty much out DFS-wise. I'll have a little bit of Lamar. You want to go back to Hollywood after that last game, but I still respect Denver's D. Even though they've had some cupcakes, it's still a pretty good defensive team there, Chop. So betting pick here and any DFS goodness. We're not finding it so far. You got anything that we're not seeing here?
No. DFS-wise, this is not I don't think this is a very fun game, so I'm not going to force it. I'll disagree with 1 point, a little bit that you made about Denver maybe being overrated. I actually think Denver's a really good defense. I think they made a concerted effort to really stock up on secondary pieces. So they got a deep secondary. They got guys who can rush the passer. I think they're pretty good. And for that reason, and the reason that Baltimore is getting a couple pieces back on defense from the COVID-19 list, I think I'm going the under on this game.
All right, and I'm not saying they're not good. I'm just saying they've had some easy matchups here. So let's give them a test here. I respect that defense, no doubt, but it's about as easy a schedule as you could face outside of Carolina so far. So Denver, always a tough place to play, even when the defense is not elite. So definitely not a gimme here, and I think that's why you see that spread.
Yeah.
Can
I just ask one question here?
You can do whatever you want.
Why are they not giving the ball more to Tyson Williams? Why are they running Devontae Freeman more, and Latavius Murray and Devontae Freeman look like they're running in quicksand? You got this other guy who's young and fresh, and give him 5 carries in a game where you're not winning. You're barely hanging on against Detroit. Give the young guy carries, man.
He looks easily the best. So you talk about Dusty Ben. I mean, Dusty Devontae. I mean, that guy just looks terrible.
Latavius runs like he's got like 10 of those old. I don't know if you guys remember the old ankle weights they used to.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
The ankle weights, and then we all learned those are terrible for your knees, you idiots. But we had them all strapped to my football coach used to have like 5 of them strapped to each leg at practice because he thought he was getting a good workout. But Latavius runs like he's got like 10 strapped on each leg. He's just terrible. And yeah, I don't know, man. Just it baffles me, some of these personnel decisions.
Yeah, I used to use those in basketball. Yeah, you're gonna jump higher. You jump with these on, you take them off, and it's they're gonna have you jumping out of the gym. But Alvin nailed it. NFL coaches are dumb, and I think that it's hard to argue with that sometimes. Some of the coaching we see in the league, headlined by guys like Matt Nagy in Chicago, but. That's a topic for another day when we have more time. That will do it here for the Week 4 show, guys. We appreciate you for listening. Again, FanDuel.com/OG. Make sure you guys get your entry in there early. Let's fill this baby up. We don't want the FanDuel folks sweating it and wonder if it's going to fill. Let's go out and make a statement. Let's fill this thing up. Get your entry in there, guys. Final thoughts here for the people. Noto, let's start with you.
DMs are always open on Twitter. If you ever have any questions, just let me know. Got a back and forth going with a lot of guys for last week. So, and then also, if you have a big week, hey, shout us out and on Twitter, and we'll shout you out for sure. And join the contest.
Absolutely. At DFS OGs Pod on Twitter. Make sure you guys follow that as well. That's kind of our direct link to the show, and we'll start highlighting some of our best performers and best finishers in our OGs tournament on FanDuel Chop. Final thoughts for the people. I'm getting some beer offers here at the local pub, so I'm kind of digging this as we end the show. Chop, you can't be the only guy that's got somebody wanting to hang out. Was that at Rite Aid? Was that the story last year? Your buddy at Rite Aid. So
that was Bert, man.
Bert, how could I forget Bert? Bert, my apologies.
I haven't been able to do no Grinders Lives lately. I don't know where Bert is. Man.
Maybe Bert moved to my town and he wants to go hang out and have a beer.
True,
so whoever you are, hit me up. We'll go have a beer.
Yeah.
Final thoughts here.
Yeah, man. Like I like that. I like when people give me. I'm always in the Discord and hanging out, and I mean I use it for fantasy, right? I'm always looking for the breaking news and the good opinions, so I'm always there. Feel free to hit me up over there and give me a good message over there, and we'll chat about some stuff. But Week 4, man, we're already moving along here. We waited for a long time for it to get here, and now it's flying by. So it's time to make up some ground in the OG contest this week. I'm calling my shot top 10 this week. Top 10, I feel it.
Oh, I like it. Yeah, I can't have Dean up ahead of me in the standings.
No kidding,
so that's just we got to fix that. So. All right, we appreciate you guys for listening. We ran a little bit long, but again, we'll start getting into bye weeks so we can have a little bit more fun, talk some life stuff and other topics. But I wanted to get you all the football here. So thank you as always for listening. Thank you to FanDuel for sponsoring the show. One last plug, FanDuel.com/OG. Go get your entry in now, just $7. For Notorious, for Head Shopper, I am Beer. We are the DFS OGs. Thank you for listening. We'll talk to you next week.